Welcome back to New Sound Radio 92FM. It's the new talent spot with me, Charles Sheldrick, on your New Sound Radio 92FM. The only place in London that gives you the talented, the artists, a chance to express yourself. You're listening to TEMPHUiBIS' debut album, Touching the Futuristic Nature.
By a closed cast of Hotbird 7A.
And TEMPHUiBIS is here with us on air. TEMPHUiBIS, welcome to the new talent spot on your New Sound Radio 92FM.
Thanks very much, man. I'm glad to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you here. Thank you very much for turning up today. And yeah, what can I say but what a magnificent album, actually. Yeah, just let's go into the creative process which started this, which kicked this off. What was the first track that you actually composed for this album?
It was one you just heard, Scarnix. When I first listened to it, I was inspired, by Cold Storage, and I was inspired, by listening to my brother play the Commodore games.
Yeah, I mean, these are just magical moments, from your childhood. You grab these moments, and it's interesting how they stick with you in your mind so many years later. Scarnix, it's an interesting name for the title track. What is? Tell us a little bit about that name, where it came from, and what the expression is really.
Well, sometimes when I work on music, I usually visualize music videos as I'm actually working on them. And I was planning to have a sort of video where a robot holds a sword, which is like a futuristic sword and stuff.
Gotcha. So it's kind of like, it's almost like a dystopian future in a way, where robots, a kind of mythical robots are once, for want of a better kind of phrase here. It's nice to actually meet a fellow computer gaming fan. I don't think we've had many of those here on the new talent spot, because for those who are not in the know, I do love my computer games. I am an addict. If there was I wasn't called Zelda, I was called Link, and definitely was something which I was always into when I was a kid. And if I let myself go, I could quite happily just sit myself in a room and not eat for 3 days just playing computer games. TEMPHUiBIS, your next track, tell us a little about the next track we're going to play here. It's quite a popular one, actually, because you've got quite a bit of a buzz, actually, especially online.
Yeah, a lot of my fans like the next track. The next track is Pulsarific Current, and it's a track here where I decided to take the stage up a little bit of a next level, and put as much of the old video games and new equipment stuff together.
I think it's quite that's quite important, actually.
Although the song's a little bit old now, I'm currently working on a music video for it.
Okay, excellent. When's that gonna go into production?
It's gonna go in production. It's still in planning mode at the moment, because I'm waiting for a few people to help me.
Yeah, it's always hard when you got to lend favors, borrow favors. It's quite a toughie. So the pre-production stage, but no, use it well and plan it. And
thanks very much, man.
Here's something from Touching the Future Nature. Introduce your song, please.
The next song is Pulsarific Current.
Welcome back to the new talent spot on your New Sound Radio 92FM. You listen to the debut album TEMPHUiBIS, Touching the Futuristic Nature. TEMPHUiBIS, give us your website once again.
Okay, my website is www.temphuibis.co.uk, and you spell TEMPHUiBIS as TEMPHUiBIS. TEMPHUiBIS.co.uk. And welcome back to the new talent spot with me, Charles Sheldrick, on New Sound Radio 92FM. Today I'm joined with TEMPHUiBIS, whose debut album Touching the Futuristic Nature you'll be hearing for this hour. And I absolutely love this album because, one, I'm a big computer game fan, and I can appreciate a lot of what I call that kind of the Japanese tone in this. Is that intentional, TEMPHUiBIS? Because I really do. For me, I mean, if you are a computing fan, and I'm sure a lot of guys here who are listening online on nusoundradio.com who agree with me here, I think there is that kind of flavour here in the album. Yeah, I guess there is. I've tried to put as much flavour as I could, really.
And I think it's really important actually to have that. I just really enjoy it because for me it does bring back a lot of memories. I love that kind of that vibe, that kind of computing vibe, whatever. I really think that's quite cool to bring out in the album, to kind of flair.
I know, that's why I like to try and keep it unique, and mixing all the stuff together.
No, it's really, really quite a cool thing. I think one of the things we'll share with the audience is actually your computing following. Actually, you also have on the net too.
Yeah, my music's all on the net. I have MySpace, website, YouTube. I do everything really.
And I think it's what the nice thing is that you also do review computer games as well.
Yeah, I review some games as well.
And well, what's that like, basically? You just basically play games, say, hey, I mean, how truthful are you today? Are you quite blunt when it comes to reviewing these games?
Well, I usually just base it on my opinions, because usually there's always arguments with games of like what game is better and stuff. I give my pros and cons, and I give honest opinion, what game I think is better, and I just do it unbiasedly, you know what I mean?
I think that's quite a good thing. Well, I'm going to ask more question, why not, before we head off into the adverts. A lot of people said the Super Nintendo, when that was around, was the golden age of gaming. Are you there to agree or disagree with this statement?
I could agree, because it did have loads of brilliant games, but then Mega Drive had loads of its games as well.
I think there was that was a time when there was a good rivalry going as well. It was a very healthy competition.
Yeah, there was a good rivalry. My personal opinion, I preferred the Mega Drive because I preferred the games for it. But if you guys enjoyed the Super NES more, then you enjoyed it more.
I was a Super Nintendo freak. I mean, I had Mega Drive was awesome, but for me, it was just certain games on the Super Nintendo which were absolutely awesome. And what consoles do you use now? Or is it basically everything you get your hands on?
Yeah, it is really. As people are watching on my YouTube, I just got my Commodore modded, and it's now called the TEMPHUiBIS.
New Sound Radio 92 FM, TEMPHUiBIS here. We're listening to his album, Touch the Futuristic Nature, only the new talent spot. The only place in London Town where you, the talent, the musicians, get yourself on air to talk about and play your album. And welcome back to the new talent spot here on New Sound Radio 92 FM. Today with TEMPHUiBIS. TEMPHUiBIS, tell us a little bit about this track before we go straight into it.
This track is called Getting Effective. In this track, I decided to use more of the Game Boy sound, and I decided to go a lot more into the Commodore sound as well, a bit more deep into the Commodore sound.
Okay, quality. Let's have a listen. Welcome back to New Sound Radio 92 FM. This is the new talent spot, and TEMPHUiBIS is our guest today. TEMPHUiBIS, thank you for joining us here today on New Sound Radio, new talent spot, and you're promoting your first debut album, Touching the Futuristic Nature. We're going to play Spirits of the Sand Mountains.
Yep.
That's one hell of a long title. Spirits of the Sand.
Oh, trust me, I've seen longer.
No, but it's an intriguing title. What was the inspiration behind that one? And tell us a little bit about that.
I was trying to make a sort of a track that would follow a sort of a plain desert, as if you're walking through a plain desert. Yeah. And then you feel as if you're being watched. You feel like there is something there.
I do understand. It's not many of my listeners do know this, but I have travelled extensively, and one of the things I did do crazily was actually walk through a desert for about 50 days in the Gobi. I'm nuts. And I do know that kind of feeling. It is a very haunting. It's one of the reasons why I picked this track, especially. And it's quite an interesting imagination that you have there, quite an interesting thought process behind it. And one of the things I do want to go on just before we play this next track is a little bit about the kind of software that you use. Because, your stuff is primarily done, I think all of it's done via the computer, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
Yeah, it's all computer-based. And there'll be a lot of guys out here who are getting into music, and they want to know a little bit about, the kind of the software they should use, and they, would you advise them to spend a bundle of money on, brand new equipment or whatever, and brand new software, or would you tell them to try and experiment first, kind of thing?
Well, what I experimented first on was Music 2000 for the PlayStation, and then came the brand new ones like Music 3000 for the PlayStation 2, and that's what most of these tracks were done on. And I was experimenting on all of those before I moved on to programs like Making Wave Studio 5 and then Fruity Loops.
Yeah, okay. And how many of these are freeware and how many of these actually cost cash?
Well, Making Wave Studio 5 is only £40, and that's more than Music 3000. More than Music 3000. Music 3000, if you can get it now, it's probably about £12 £25.
Okay, so we're talking about quite low startup costs in a way in terms of software.
Yeah.
And whatever. And I mean, how powerful? Do you have to have a really powerful computer? Is that essential to use, or?
Not a very powerful computer, just one that can handle the softwares.
Yeah, it's quite important. And is there a lot of kind of freeware about as well? Because I know a lot of people just want to experiment first. I mean, a lot of people just want to see how they're doing with music composition. Is there any kind of good freeware out there that you could recommend?
Well, if you're into the games sort of music and like chiptune stuff, I say one program is Milky Tracker. And I don't know the website for that, but if you
can Google it, everyone Googles it. Yeah.
If you Google it, Milky Tracker, you can find some site. You can find a site that will have it, and then you can go on YouTube, type it in as well, and you'll get loads of tutorials. So
yeah, I think that's one of the great things that we have today. We're very lucky in terms of musicians. I think one of the great resources is that there is so much available out there in terms of how to teach you whatever. You can just pop on the internet. You can see a lot of good stuff on there. Do you, on your YouTube channel, do you give any kind of hints, tips and teats really for music composition as well as video game reviews?
I don't with my videos, but I do via messages and comments. And I could do it via videos soon, you never know.
Yeah, it's something which I think would be really good, because there is a lot of, I know there's a lot of guys who listen to the station right now, and there's a lot of new musicians here who really do want to take that to the next step. And I think it's great that we got such a lot of resources out there that, you know, that it's minimal costs and is available to all of us, which is great. Okay, TEMPHUiBIS, he's here today. He's at the New Talent Spot, and we're listening to his debut album, Touching the Futuristic Nature. Let's hear it for the next track.
Spirits of the Soundman Sons.
On your New Sound Radio, 92 FM. And welcome back to the New Talent Spot here on New Sound Radio, 92 FM. TEMPHUiBIS, thank you for joining us. And
thanks, mate.
What's going to be your next track? Tell us what you want to hear and why you want to express that to the audience.
My next track is Wings in the Night Through the Leaves. And it's a song here where I tried to do, like, if you're walking through the forest in the night, or if you're a bird and if you're flying through the forest at night. It's a kind of a mixture, really. And I was like experimenting with the sounds of trees and what it'd be like if you was really going.
It's interesting I mean, I do like that. It's kind of like a haunted, because it kind of reminds me to a lot of the RPG games, role-playing games that, you know, set themselves in mystical forests.
Yep.
And such like. It's something which I find quite haunting, actually. Is that kind of your inspiration for the RPG games?
Some of the RPG games, not the haunted ones, but RPG games did inspire me a bit on this one.
Kind of give us your top RPG and why.
Brave Fencer Musashi.
Okay, on what platform?
On the PS1. I didn't really like RPGs back that much, but I did give that game a try, and I did actually enjoy the first part, you know, the part that I played.
Yeah.
But some of the music in that game was part of the inspiration. Right,
because the thing is that RPGs, they do really involve yourself. You really get sucked into the whole. It takes you out, you know, you can be, you know, you wake up in the morning, you start playing, and, you know, it's 6 o'clock in the evening by the time you realise that, wait, I haven't eaten all day, kind of thing. No, it really does suck you in. In terms of, we were chatting about the kind of golden age of computing, and I think that's one of the entertaining, you know, bits and bobs we were having here on the FM dial. But tell us a little bit about what you think of the gaming and the game scenario today, and where it's kind of heading, because there's really kind of two branches now. You've got the kind of one branch where it's to get more kind of intensive games, that kind of direction, and the other branch is to get much more dip in, dip out kind of games. So where do you think games are going?
At the moment, I think games are going in one certain direction.
Okay.
Like, there's too many of them, these shooting games, first-person shooters, third-person shooters, and I feel games had a bit more creativity back in the olden days. But
they had to, because they didn't have the graphics. They had to get something in there.
But today's days, I mean, at least I can still play all the new games, but I do miss the times in the old days.
Yeah, there's something.
I have to be honest.
There's some golden moments. I mean, you know, everyone loves the Nintendo Entertainment System, and the SNES brings a lot of smiles back to a lot of people. But today, you know, we've got a lot of platforms today as well. I mean, you've got the consoles, but you've also got the PC as well, with its great range of versatility as well. And in fact, even online, you get very simplistic games now online. I think Tetris is now available online, freebie, and you get kind of SimCity kind of clones online as well. So there are some kind of simplistic offerings that are, you know, you don't have to buy anymore. But what ways is it all heading, do you reckon? Are we going to be paying for games in the future?
That's one
Do we
question.
pay now, actually? Let's be honest here. For a lot of people, piracy is the king. But, you know, would there be a consensus to more free gaming? Is that where you think this is all heading?
I'm not sure where we're all heading. All I know is that Capcom have done a lovely new idea. They brought Mega Man 9 back out, and they've made it the old ways, the old Nintendo ways, which we all loved. So the fact of bringing it back like that, if all the other companies do the same thing and bring some of the games like those back, I reckon the gaming will always be more creative as we go along.
I think that's one of the most important, is to give the creativity a chance to express itself.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the things that we need. TEMPHUiBIS, I want to thank you for joining me today here on New Sound Radio.
Thanks very much, man.
It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on air.
Yeah, man.
And thank you for joining me. I hope you come back as well in the not too distant future to tell us and give us an update on how you're doing.
Okay, thanks, man.
We're having a little bit of touching the futuristic nature. It's the last track. Just introduce it and let the audience enjoy the moments.
Hey, thanks very much, man. Hi, it's TEMPHUiBIS here. Listen to Charlie on New Sound Radio 92 FM. I'd like to thank my family, and I'd like to thank my friends. I also definitely want to thank Charlie for them being on this radio station. And I thank my YouTube subscribers and all my fans. And thanks very much, guys. I'll see you all later. Love who you are.
Okay, we're coming to the end of another new talent spot on your New Sound Radio 92 FM. You've been listening to TEMPHUiBIS here, and his debut album, Touching the Futuristic Nature. His website is temphuibis.co.uk. 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 Check him out. He's a really, really talented guy. It's been a pleasure to have him here today in the New Sound studio. We want to hear from artists just like you here in London town. We know this is a very, very talented city, and we are looking forward to listening to the latest and greatest sounds available here in London town. If you've got the talent and you've got the skills and you've got the music, we want to hear from you. Drop us a line, info@newsoundradio.com.